Hey Yogi, welcome back to the arm balance mini series. So for this one we're going to look at Utpluthih. This is a really lovely arm balance and it's really obtainable for lots of people. So it might be handy to have two bricks, especially some nice sturdy ones, but don't worry if you don't have any. So to set up for Utpluthih, ideally we want to be in our Lotus pose or working towards Lotus. So Lotus pose, we take one foot, bend the knee, and we bring the foot up onto the opposite outside thigh, pointing the toes. So we're pointing rather than flexing the foot. Then we're going to bend the other leg, take one foot onto the toes, one hand onto the toes, one hand onto the knees. Then lift the foot up and slowly slide the foot up into the crease of the hip or the opposite outside thigh. And then you've got your full lotus. So this is the easiest way to get the Utpluthih, the lift off, because the structure is really nice and tight here. So I'll show you without the blocks to start with. So you'll take the palms down sort of halfway between the hips and the knees, so around here for me. Then you're going to lean back slightly to lift the knees up, and then take a deep inhale. As you exhale, you bend the elbows, keep lifting the knees towards the chest and lift the structure off the ground. So we're in our Utpluthih. And then when you're ready, you drop it. Okay, so if you're struggling to lift off and you've got the lotus pose, then take the blocks and pop them where the hands would go. Press down into the blocks. The key thing here is to try and bring the knees in towards the chest. They may not come far in, but just bringing them in rather than trying to go forward with the knees down. Because what will happen is the butt will lift, but you kind of got the knees pointing down to the floor. So instead, lift the knees up, then slightly crunch forward, inhale, then lean up and lift up. So the blocks just give you a little bit more height here if you were struggling to lift the structure. So that's all good and well if you've got lotus, which is not an easy posture. It can be quite difficult to find lotus pose in the hips. So you can still be practicing this and working on it if you don't have lotus. So we've got kind of Padmasana, where the feet are kind of one in front of the other and the thighs are coming down to the mat. We've then got Sukhasana, or easy pose, which is just crisscrossing the legs. Okay, for lift off or Utpluthih, it's better to try and have the knees crisscrossed. So you're probably going to need some blocks again here. Now, it's exactly the same principle. So with Utpluthih, when you come into it from Lotus, the feet are up here. So they're not dragging down, they're not weighing you down. You've already got some kind of smallness in the structure. And with arm balancing, the smaller we can create the surface area, the easier it is to lift. And obviously with Sukhasana, we've got the feet that are on the floor and they can be quite hard to lift off, but doable. So taking the blocks, again, we want to really bring the knees into the chest. Then take a deep inhale. As we exhale, we lift up. So we've got everything up. I'm shaking so much because this is so much harder than coming into it from Lotus. Okay, to send the structure down. So you may be thinking, okay, well, I still can't lift the whole structure off even with the blocks. That's fine, you're on a journey. So you're gonna have to practice lifting just the butt up. So if I turn to show you here, and this is why these kind of bricks, which are like heavy duty, or even books are sometimes better than the softer blocks. I personally think anyway. So cross the legs, bring the knees into the chest. Inhale, lean forward as you lift, and you just lift the butt off for now. But try and suck the knees into the chest. So if the knees kind of go forward like this, you're never going to get the feet off the floor. Whereas if you bring the knees into the body, then you try and lift off. So inhale and then lift. If you bring the knees in, you're going upwards and you've got more of a chance of getting the butt off. But don't worry, again, if you don't have any blocks, just work on it without the blocks. So we're taking the hands down, spreading the fingers, bending the elbows, bringing the knees into the chest and lifting the butt off. If you bring the knees in more, you may be able to lift for a moment the whole thing an inch off the floor. As I say, it is so much easier if you're taking full lotus. So full lotus, we'll come into that just to show that, to finish off the tutorial. So full lotus, I've got my toes pointed. So now the structure's nice and small. There's no feet to leave behind. I take the palms down. I'll lift the knees into the chest. Inhale. And as I exhale, I lift it all up and forward, still trying to hug the knees into the chest all the time. And then plant it down. So that was Utpluthih. So hopefully something there for you to have a go at. This is really accessible for anyone as soon as you've got the legs crossed, because then you can work either with the blocks or without the blocks on just getting the butt up, and keep lifting the butt. Eventually the feet are going to lift. Also keep working on full lotus, because Utpluthih with full lotus is a lot easier because everything's in, small, and it's easier to lift. So leave some comments, let me know how you got on. If you enjoyed the video, like it. If you're enjoying the series, then subscribe to the channel so you keep up to date with whatever we do next. And Drakey and I will see you back here next time for the next arm balance video.